because I want to have time to do a practice quiz with you. We're on page 23.
I got it down.
I mean, there's stuff like 2 design.
All right, I got it.
We're missing Lori. Hannah is on vacation. Lauren. Okay. So everybody is looking at problem number 11. Okay? We're all going to do problem number 11 on page 23. All right, so here we go. Step 1. Look at the one above it. We did on Friday. What's step 1? Oh my.
Multiply by x minus 1.
Subtract the 2. In an inequality, you cannot multiply through. You can do that in an equation, equals, but not in an inequality. In an inequality, we have to subtract 2. Now, that's like 2 over 1, right? So what did we do next? Look up above if you can't remember. We got a common denominator so that we could actually subtract these two things. So our common denominator is x minus 1. So we multiplied the top and the bottom by x minus 1. Now that means we have a common denominator. These two fractions now can be one fraction because they have the same denominator. What do they have in the numerator? Well, we have a 3x plus 1. And watch it now, careful. Minus 2x plus 2. Minus 2x plus 2, doing the distributive. So now that cleans up, doesn't it? What does that become? Collect like terms, fix it up. What's it become? X plus 3 over x minus 1? Greater than 0. Every time we have an inequality, we are eventually going to draw a number line. This number line is going to have 2 dots on it. Where are the dots going to be? -3, +1. Now, let's test 0. 0 would be in here, right? Okay, let's test it. If I put 0 in, I would get a positive number over a negative number. You can go ahead and work it out if you want, but what's really important is it's a positive over a negative. Does that give me the kind of fraction that my problem is asking for? What does greater than 0 mean? Positive. Does positive over negative give me positive? No. So this section doesn't work. It didn't give me what I wanted. So what's my answer? This section and this section. Everything less than -3 or greater than 1. The only time you can't make that assumption, does anybody remember when that is? When can I not make the assumption that if that doesn't work, these two will. If there'd been a squared in the problem, then I couldn't do that. But as long as everything is just regular, you're okay. All right? Now, we're going to let that rest a minute. We did one on Friday. We did one today. I'm going to do one at the end of the period, okay? What I want to do now is finish up this part of the packet by looking at these word problems. Tomorrow's quiz will not have word problems on it. Yep. Somebody said, I remember how to do this because we did them earlier in the year. What's our general formula for a problem where we are mixing things together in a big bucket? What's our general formula? Amount times percent plus amount times percent equals amount times percent. Everybody remember that general formula? Yes. So here we go. How much 12% needs to be added to 5 gallons of 15% to get a 14% solution? Everybody with me so far? Now, 5 gallons. I got to put that 5 into my problem. Where does that 5 go? With the 15. How much 12%? Well, wait a minute. How much? What am I going to put in for that? How much? That's X. Think of a big bucket. You put in X gallons and 5 gallons. How much do you have then in your bucket? X plus 5. If you put in X and 5, you've got X plus 5. So there's our equation. Here we go. 0.12X plus, I'm going to multiply that, I think it's 0.75, if somebody with a calculator can help me, equals 0.14X plus 0.70. Watch your arithmetic. If you subtract 0.12x, what are we going to have here? Be careful. 0.02. Not 0.2, 0.02. Now we'll subtract 0.7. What do we have here? 0.05. And then I can type that into my calculator and I get 2.5 gallons. Anybody have a question about that? That's review. Let's do another one. Still review. Amount times percent. Look at the next problem. You're still mixing. All right, so here we go. We've got 54% acid and 84% acid, and we're going to end up with 60% acid. How much 54 do I have? 8. How much 84 do I have? X. How much total solution am I going to have then if I mix 8 gallons with X gallons? 8 plus X or X plus 8? Doesn't matter. 8 plus X, X plus 8. Everybody okay with the setup? So just doing now my multiplication, 4.32. Wow, I got two cuts. Anybody confirm that? Or do I have a mistake there? Got it? Any issue with the setup of either one of these two? Everybody kind of remember that from before? All right, now we got a new, Moses, was your hand up?
No.
Okay. Now we have a new kind of word problem. Let's look at number 3. Just like there's kind of a general formula to do a mixture problem, amount times percent plus amount times percent, there is a kind of general formula to do one of these, I think of them as work problems. There's a job to be done, in this case it's doing homework, so somebody can do it in so many hours and somebody else can do it in so many hours. Well, what if they do it together? How long would it take them? The general formula for that kind of a problem is 1 over the time alone plus 1 over the time alone equals 1 over the time together. So in this problem, Danielle's time alone is 4 hours, so that would be 1 over 4. If Zach helps her, it takes them 3 hours. So where does the 3 go? If Zach helps her, that's the together. How long does it take Zach alone? Does that setup make sense to you in terms of this general formula? This is Danielle's time alone. This is Zach's time alone. We don't know what it is.
Would it be 1 over 7.3 repeating, something like that?
I don't know. We're going to see in a minute. And this is their time together. Now, Moses, how do you want to solve this?
I just did 33 minus repeat minus 25.
Oh, so you actually subtracted this decimal over to here?
Yeah.
Okay, we could do that. Now, I prefer not to round it off. Actually, I prefer not to deal with the fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything. What could I multiply everything by just to not have any more fractions? 12x. So that would leave me with 3x plus 12 equals 4x. So actually, Moses, 12 hours is the answer. So it would take Zach 12 hours.
So it took Zach 12 hours to use all homework?
Yep. Okay, here we go. Next problem. Grant can paint the football field in 8 hours. Matt can do it in 6 hours. How long will it take them together? What's the equation?
1 over 8.
1 over 8 plus equals, that's it. We know this is one kid's time alone, this is the other kid's time alone. The question is, what is their time together? So again, if I do not want to mess with the fractions, what could I multiply by? Well, 24x would work, so would 48, if you'd rather use 48, but 24 will work for sure. What's 8 into 24? So this is 3x, 4x, 24, 7x equals 24, so x equals 24/7 hours. Which is a little bit more than 3 hours. So one kid took 8, one kid took 6. If they do it together, it's a little more than 3.
Sorry.
You okay with that? All right, I want to do a practice quiz. Two problems. Tomorrow's quiz has 2 problems on it. And then you can get started on your homework. No word problems on the quiz, but there are word problems in your homework. All right. Here is your practice quiz.
Oh, is that what you call it now?
Yes. We're like wrestling. Just stepped over. So I was like, I was like, do you think?
See, I don't call wrestling squat. That's the thing.
I was gonna say,
Telling me.
All right, here we go. 2 quiz questions. One pretty easy one. And then one that's going to take some time and energy. All right, let's do the easy one first. This is what it's going to look like tomorrow. Different numbers, but this format. So what do we do to get started? This needs to be a minus. Sorry about that. Recopy that as a minus. So this is a minus. All right, what do I do first? Factor. So it's going to factor as x minus 8, x plus 1. Are you paying attention, Jack? Now, every time I have an inequality, I draw a number line. At some point, I have to draw a number line. I'm going to put 2 dots on this number line. Those dots are going to be colored in. Where will those dots be? -1 and 8. And groupies, they got to be in that order. Okay? -1 and 8. Now, nothing's squared, right? So I'm going to test 0 and see if it works or not. 0 would be right in here, right? So let's put 0 in. 0 gives me a negative times the positive. What do I want? Does this do it for me? No. So if this section doesn't work, then this one and this one do. So in the answer blank, I write x is less than or equal to -1, or x is greater than or equal to 8. I promise that tomorrow's quiz question is going to be that easy. Katie?
I don't like when you find something into like the
You don't have to. I do because it's the easiest number to start with. It makes my arithmetic easier.
But if you like plug something in, wouldn't it still be negative? Oh wait, never mind. Like if you plug like -2.
Okay, if I plugged in -2, now -2 would be out here in this spot. If I put -2 in, that would give me a negative times a negative. That is a positive. So the -2 space works. I already knew that. -2 is out here in this space, not in this space.
Aren't you adding it?
No, you're multiplying. That's a multiplication. When you factor, it's multiplied. Remember, it's not FOILing. That would be a multiplication problem.
I thought it was just like in the parentheses.
In the parentheses, you're adding -2 and -8. That gives you a -10. -2 plus 1 gives you a -1. But when you multiply the -10 and the -1, you get a positive answer. So that section works. Right, anything else about that one before we look at the harder one? Okay, so here we go. We practiced one already today, just like this. Step 1. Subtract the 3. Step 2. You need to get a common denominator so that you can make one fraction here. This is a subtraction. We need to get into one fraction, not 2. So what's our common denominator? X minus 2. So I just give this one an x minus 2 on the top and bottom. Now the denominators are the same. So I can write one fraction. As long as the denominators are the same, you can write one fraction. The numerators would be 4x plus 1, now be careful here, minus 3x plus 6. So I can make that cleaned up a little bit. That would be what? X plus 7. Remember, your inequalities have to have a 0. So that's why I did all this work. I can't have a 3 here. I have to have a 0 there. Now I'm ready to go to my number line, right? 2 dots on the number line. Where will those dots be? -7 and 2. Anything squared or weird about that? So we can try 0. Katie, 0 would make the numerator a positive number, and it would make the denominator a negative number. Does a positive over a negative give me the kind of fraction that I wanted? Yeah. This is negative, right? So this works. So the answer to the question is everything between -7 and 2.
Wait, how do you know how to make it into like either or just
If it's a 2-part answer, I mean if it's 2 shaded pieces, it's going to be 2 parts. If there's only 1 shaded piece, there's only going to be 1 part. See the difference? Then you have 2 parts shaded. You have to answer each one separately. If there's only 1 part shaded, there it is. Okay? Now, here's what I would like to do. I'd like to give you 2 more practice problems for tomorrow's quiz and have you work with them with each other and see how you do. So, take out a piece of paper or on your notes or something. And let's do these 2 problems. All right, here you go. Hey, are we all working on this? Let's go.
It's an open source. It's just like any other lesson. Okay.
I was like, wait.
You looked at me like, you're so stupid. And you're like, wait, I don't know.
Because, like, I had a moment where I thought we
What? Now you got a rap song.
it's not like
Yeah, actually.
I probably would. It's not the
It's just shade in between.
Have I already given you practice tests for this chapter? Except I did that done.
Remember when you flexed my screen? I heard
More like that. So, like, you remember how she's doing it?
that's basically what it's doing.
Put in zeros. It's just gonna have a ring. I mean, that's just me. It's just gonna have a ring full of Lindsay's or copy creations. And it's products plus
I think she appreciates that. Unless she's secretly throwing them away.
No, don't know that.
She throws them away right in front of your face.
Lindsay, you got this done? Both of them? Good job. All right, let's come back together here and get organized so we be sure to get through both of these. This is exactly what your quiz is going to look like tomorrow. Everybody clear? All right, so how did you start this first problem? X minus 8x plus 4. Then what did you do?
Here's the number line.
You drew it on the number line, and you plotted two open circles, one at -4 and one at 8. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you said, hey, I don't have any squares, I just need to check one number. The number I checked can be anything you want except these two. Anything else is fine. I'm just going to use 0 because I've been using 0. So I get a negative times a positive. Now, what does a negative times a positive do for me? Negative. Is negative what I wanted? Yes. This means negative. So this section worked. So my answer is all the x's between -4 and 8. How many got that right? Okay, if your hand is not in the air, do you figure out what you did wrong?
I got it right.
Good on that. Okay, next. That has to be a 0, boys and girls. The only way to make it 0 is to move that over to here. So here it goes. Connor, are you working on something besides math back there?
I'm doing the problems.
Okay. Just so we're focused.
Yeah.
Now, what do I do since I moved the 4? Multiply the top and the bottom by x minus 4. Because I need one fraction with a common denominator of x minus 4. So what's my numerator? 5x plus 2 minus 4x plus 16, which I can clean up into x plus 18 over x minus 4. So what's next? Number line. Dots are at -18 and 4. Now, this is a really super tricky part. You see this, and you want to color in the dots. And you should color in the dots, unless it's a dot from the denominator. That never gets colored in. So the only dot that's going to get colored in is the 18. You can't let x equal 4. So you cannot color that dot in, even though it's an or equal to. Nothing squared. Let's try 0. 0 gives me a positive over a negative. Does that work? No. I want positive. So that means this section and this section are my answers. How many of you wrote in the answer blank this right here? Not very many of you. Good job. Those of you that did, good job. If you didn't, have you found your mistake? What question do you need to ask? Jake?
I'm just so confused on why the 4 isn't colored in.
Because what happens if you let x be 4?
It's a 0.
Where? All right, everybody clear on what you're doing? All right, here's your assignment. Listen carefully. On the note sheet, down at the very back, very bottom, there are 2 problems down there I want you to do. In addition to the word problem sheet that I handed out a long time ago, this one I know I handed out. Told you to put in your notebook and keep safe. Now we've got it. So you're doing these 7 problems plus these 2. That's your homework. 7 word problems here and 2 word problems on the back of your note sheet. Tomorrow I will give you your practice tests. I thought I already did that, but apparently I didn't, so I need to get that. Okay? All right, go ahead and get started. The answers to the word problem sheet are on the back. If that helps you at all.